just wait to see who's going to come on. Hi Lauren. Hi Lucy. Oh, morning Lauren. I'm just going to open my conservatory door. I'm really hot. Morning Emily. How is everyone? Everyone okay? Enjoying the sunshine? Okay, so this is Mendip's Talking Cafe, and this week's topic is Deaf and Blindness Week, hydration, and touching on a little bit of mental health. Hi Sonia, oh glad you can make it. So yeah, I'll just get right on into it I think. Hi Carol. Before I melt in my conservatory, I hadn't thought this one through today. Ooh, I don't know myself today. Both my children have gone back to school today. They go 3 days a week, so I've got the house to myself. It's really quiet, apart from the bees. So yeah, I've said this week's topics are Deaf and Blindness Awareness Week, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about Helen Keller, who is one of the most well-known deaf-blind people in history. I must admit, prior to yesterday when I was researching it, I hadn't heard of this lady, but she really does sound quite amazing, and what she has done for people with deaf and blindness and raising awareness is quite incredible. So I will tell you a little bit about her. So yeah, her name's Helen Keller, and she's one of the most well-known deaf-blind people in history. She's famous for her political activism, lecturing, writing, and for being the first deaf-blind person to earn a Bachelor of Arts degree. She campaigned tirelessly to improve the treatment of deaf and blind people and to raise awareness of sight and hearing health. Helen was born in 1880 in Alabama, USA, and at just 19 months old, she contracted an unknown illness that left her deaf and blind, which she later described as living at sea in a dense fog. There's an aeroplane going over. She started to develop her own signs for communicating with her family, and she identified people by the vibration of their footsteps. Helen had no understanding of words or the fact that objects even had names until she started working with her teacher Anne Sullivan from the Perkins School for the Blind. Anne began to spell words into Helen's hands, and slowly she started to associate objects with words. Helen was determined to communicate and as conventionally as possible, and incredibly she learned to speak. She listened to others talk by placing her hands on their lips and throat to identify the movements. As a young woman, Helen became a socialist and travelled the world giving speeches and lectures about women's rights, war and social politics. She also became known as an advocate for people with disabilities and actively campaigned to support the working class. In 1915, she co-founded Helen Keller International, an organisation devoted to research in vision, health and nutrition. Helen died on the 1st of June 1968 at home in Connecticut, aged 87. So, Deaf and Blind Awareness Week, Helen's work made a huge difference to the field of sight and hearing loss, and without her efforts, the world today may be very different for deaf-blind people. We commemorate her life each year in Deaf Blindness Awareness Week, which falls each year on the week of her birthday, 27th of June. During Deaf Blindness Awareness Week, Deafblind UK and other organisations hold events and activities to raise awareness of dual sensory loss and they aim to continue to inspire those living with deaf blindness and to raise awareness of dual sensory loss in the same way that Helen did. Now, I feel really sort of sad really that I hadn't heard of her before, and so it just highlights really how important this week really is, and what she has done for people with deaf and blindness is absolutely incredible. I have worked with adults with learning difficulties, and I supported a lady who was blind, she wasn't deaf, and I found the way that she could communicate and the way that she could get around absolutely incredible, and she knew exactly what she wanted to wear. She would tell me she wanted to wear pink socks or a yellow jumper because she knew exactly how it felt. So I would never have been able to tell her, oh, actually it's yellow, when it wasn't, because she was amazing at the way she was able to feel it and able to tell you what colour it was and exactly what she wanted to wear, and she was able to get around the property. She was able to manage stairs, and yeah, she was just a really, really incredible lady, and I really enjoyed supporting her when I worked with adults with learning difficulties. Hi Nick. I'm going to have to stop a few times and take lots of water because it is so hot. So, deaf and blindness can affect anyone. Deaf and blindness can affect everyone in different ways. The extent to which it affects your daily living depends on many things, including the nature of your sight and hearing loss, what has caused you to become deaf, blind, other medical conditions, and also your own attitude, personality and life history. Living with deaf blindness does not always have a significant impact on your independence. Some people go about their daily lives with just a few minor adjustments or some well-planned technology. Others will need more support, such as a communicator, guide or a support worker to help them with everyday tasks. For some people, simple changes to how their friends and family behave and communicate can make a huge difference to them. You may find that as your sight and hearing have worsened, you have found creative ways to manage around your home, and when you are out and about, for example, you might know how many steps it is to your neighbour's house, or you might know that you keep the shampoo on the right and the conditioner on the left. We often put these strategies in place without realising we're doing so, and sometimes even before we have acknowledged that our sight and hearing are changing. I do want to apologise as well because I'm reading a lot today, and that's purely because I found so much information that I really thought was important and I couldn't retain it all because I just didn't know enough about it. So because I'm reading, it doesn't come across very well, I do apologise. So communication. Many people who are deafblind can talk and can hear clear speech. This is because they've probably learned to talk before they lost their sight and their hearing or deteriorated. Advances in technology means that those who have previously relied on lip reading can now hear through hearing aids and portable listening devices. You may find it useful to use a combination of speech and lip reading, although this is often becomes difficult when there is more than one person talking or when there is background noise. And speaking of background noise, my washing machine sounds like it's going to take off. Sorry. Everything's against me today. Yes, so you might find it useful to use a combination of speech and signs, lip reading and things. Other methods of communicating are British Sign Language, Signed English, Makaton or keyword sign, tracking and hands-on signing, visual frame signing, deafblind manual, braille, moon and objects of reference. And there is another one that we used to use when I worked with adults with learning difficulties called total communication. Now I have a feeling that that is sort of limited to Somerset area for some reason. Yeah, so I should have checked that really, but the adults that I used to support, even though they weren't deaf or blind, they would, if they had communication problems, they made up their own signs for what they wanted. So we kind of all adopted that in the home that we worked in, and we would use them to communicate with people, to ask them what they wanted and things like that, cups of teas, or I think, I would love to remember them. It was something like fish and chips or something like that. And we used to sing 10 fat sausages sizzling in a pan, and I used to know all that as well, but I've lost it now. And then when my daughter Darcy was little, I taught her how to sing 10 fat sausages sizzling in a pan using sign language, and obviously like using Mr. Tumble and things like that when they sign with friends and things. That I think it's really cool that they really highlight it with children now, and they do include it on things like CBeebies and things. So I think it's really, really cool that they want children to learn to sign, and it means that, you know, when they go to school and they have friends that could actually recently, well, not totally recently obviously, but probably the last time that my daughters went to a soft play area, there was a young girl there, and she had she was deaf, and even though that my girls couldn't sign to her, they still found a way to communicate with her, which was really sweet. And my girls were obviously really inquisitive why she couldn't hear them and things, so we had a good chat about that. And so I think it's really cool that we have weeks like this week to raise awareness for people who have sensory impairments. So yes, going back to my Fliss says keycards and Makaton is a great resource for non-verbal communication. Yeah, definitely. So they've got lots, and obviously the technology's improved massively, and we've got apps now as well. So just going to read out a few of those. There's Prismo Go, and that's an easy to use text speech app. Seeing Al is narrates the world around you. Text Here is real-time text to speech translation. What else have we got? We've got Blind Square, which is a GPS navigation. Boop Light Detector tells you whether lights are on or off. Sound Alert vibrates and flashes to alert you to household sounds like doorbells, microwaves, alarm clocks. Oh, while I remember, when I was a micro provider, I remember going to like a training event with the fire department, and they've got like vibrating pillows for people with that are deaf or find it hard to hear, and the pillows vibrate if the fire alarm's going off, which was really good as well. And if you get in touch with the Somerset Fire and Rescue Department, they can provide those for people, as well as a fire safety check as well. Somerset site is they will transcribe material into braille or audio formats, and they're at www.somersetsite.org.uk. Also Deaf Blind Organisation, which is a brilliant website, and is where I've got most of my information for this Talking Cafe today. There's a wealth of information on there, things that I had not even realised, and it's a really tremendous website. I definitely recommend going on there and having a look. Sense.org and the NCDB National Centre Deaf Blindness as well. In Glastonbury there is and Frome, Shepton Mallet, Wells and Street, there's the Somerset site for them, and it's local specialists in sight loss, and they provide a range of information practical and emotional services for those with sight loss and their friends and family. They provide emotional support face-to-face or by phone with no waiting list to support people to adapt to and to adjust to sight loss. They offer specialist gadgets, resources, lighting to make everyday chores easier and to enable people to remain independent, keep an active lifestyle and remain living in their own home for as long as possible. Basic technology training is available so people can make the best use of technology that there is on the market at the moment. There is a mobile advisory service offering specialist resources and advice is brought to Glastonbury, Frome and Shepton Mallet and Wells, visiting each locations monthly from 10:30 to 3:30. That's on the Somerset site website, or magazines for dates and exact locations. So I'm guessing they do magazines for that as well to advertise their service. They've got volunteer visiting services, which provides a trained befriender to help with reading, correspondence, getting out and about, to reduce isolation and loneliness, and to provide much needed practical support. They are agents for British Wireless for the blind and have a well equipped library service. They run an active social group in the area and arrange outings and activities, and you can contact Heidi or Kate on 0823 333 818, or you can go onto the somersetsite.org. Communication skills and lip reading groups, which are run by Jill Cummings, and she is on 01749 678928, and her email address is jill.cumming@deafplus.org. If somebody could put that one, Hannah, if you could put that link in the comment section. And they're held, she runs these groups at various different venues in Mendip, so it's definitely worth getting in touch with her to find out what's happening at the moment with the coronavirus, and obviously when they're hoping to get up and running again. There's the Royal National Institute of Blind People, and that's available to everyone affected by sight loss, whether you were losing your sight, you're blind or partially sighted, and their practical and emotional support can help you face the future with confidence. Services include talking library books, specialist education for children and young people, and learning disability support. Services such as e-learning courses are also provided to businesses, support workers and individuals to help understand and accommodate people affected by sight loss. So their helpline number is 0303 123 9999, and their website is rnib.org.uk. I am melting. There is the Sensory Loss Team, which is Somerset County Council's Sensory Loss Team, and they're trained to work with people with sight or hearing loss. Workers can visit you at home and arrange to provide you with support to keep you independent. Services include provisions of equipment and rehabilitation, along with advice and information on a range of specialist organisations for people with sight or hearing loss. So that's Somerset Direct Adult Social Care Team on 0300 123 2224. There is library free talking book service. You can borrow talking books free of charge if you are registered with a visual impairment, are unable to hold or use printed material due to a physical disability, or if you are dyslexic. You can email inquiry@somerset.gov.uk, and their telephone number is 0300 123 2224. There is also the Macular Degeneration Support Group, which is a support group for people with macular degeneration, with visiting speakers each month and is held on the third Thursday of the month. There's no need to book, just turn up, but obviously it's a really good idea to get hold of Pat on 01373 469 789 to find out what is going on with that group at the moment and what different ways they might be holding it, if they're holding it at all at the moment. And it's held in Froome Medical Practice upstairs in the education suite. There is the Hearing Support Cafe in Shepton Mallet. This is a monthly cafe and it's hosted by Health Connections Mendip alongside voluntary sector organisations that will be available to offer support and information. It says to come along for a cup of tea or coffee to meet other people who are in a similar situation to you. Drop in any time between 1:30 and 3, and it's held at Shepton Mallet Community Hospital alongside the Hearing Aid Maintenance Service. I want to talk about obviously face coverings at the moment for people who are deaf and blind. So it's this is the information I've got from this is from the Deaf Blind website.org. So it says it's now mandatory that face coverings are worn on public transport. There are some exceptions to this rule, and these exceptions include if you have a physical or mental illness or impairment or a disability that means you cannot put on or wear or remove a face covering. If putting on, wearing or removing a face covering would cause you severe distress, if you are travelling with or providing assistance to, and someone who relies on lip reading communication. So those are the exceptions to the rule, and there is more information about that on the Deaf and Blindness website. With interpreters as well, the coronavirus daily updates from the Prime Minister will include the provisions of an interpreter on the BBC channel 107 or 231. A summary of the key guidance in BSL is available from Sign Health here. Guide dogs as well, which Felicity has said. Sensory dogs are also available for hard of hearing as well as sight loss, offering amazing support and companionship. So if you have to self-isolate and you have a guide dog, please contact Guide Dogs UK and they can advise you on what is in the best interests for you and your guide dog, and they will keep in regular contact with you by telephone as your situation changes, so they can offer up-to-date advice. You can call Guide Dogs UK on 0800 781 1444. There is a lot of information this week, a lot of words that you have to speak, and it's so hot today as well, isn't it? So the charity, sorry, I've skipped a page. Yes, so then that's I'm going to move on to the next topic now, which is just to talk about. We have had Mental Health Awareness Week, and every week people touch on the subject because it is vitally important, but I just wanted to highlight a website that our village agent Nick Edwards has come across, and she is friends with one of the volunteers for this service. So this is a write-up that he's done about the voluntary service that he works for. So the charity is called Shout, and Shout is a mental health charity for people who find themselves in a moment of crisis. This could be that they are feeling low, depressed, anxious, stressed, or suicidal, amongst lots of other things. And their role as crisis volunteers is to bring the texter, so you text the number, and it's to bring the texter from a hot moment to a cool calm, and they provide advice, but they don't provide advice, but they will empower the texter by reflecting back to them, validating their feelings, identifying their needs, and collaboratively problem solve. so that if they find themselves in crisis again, they may be able to use some of the techniques that they've helped to signpost them to. So it's a 24-hour text service where trained crisis volunteers will log on to the platform on their laptops, where they can see other crisis volunteers online as well, and then they just wait for a text to come through, and then a crisis volunteer will be with that person immediately. And they also have the help of their supervisor if required, especially when the texter has suicidal thoughts or feelings or intentions. And they will, when they sign up, they commit that they will undertake at least 2 hours a week and 100. This is if you were interested to become a volunteer, and it's 100 hours a year to help support those in need. And when a texter is in crisis, they will text SHOUT, SHOUT, to 85258, and they will be contacted by a crisis volunteer. And their website is giveusashout.org. So yes, that is really worth mentioning, that charity, because I hadn't heard of that one before. If Hannah could put the links in, that would be really good. And finally, to talk about the weather, which is amazing. It's nice that we're not having thunderstorms and torrential downpours like we all did last week. We all had to get out and about last week as well for the first time in ages. We had a slight bit of normality at CCS, and many of our agents were out doing door knocking and just to check on the vulnerable at the moment, who we haven't been able to contact via telephone. So we went out and about to see how those people are and if there's any way that we can support them. And I went out and with my daughter Darcy, and we did the food pick up and the book pick up, and we went and delivered to families across Mendip who are in need at the moment. And so we did all that in pouring down rain, and we had some awful lightning where I live, and our telephone still isn't working because an actual bolt went into the plug and there was a spark, and it was awful. So it's nice to see a bit of sunshine, but having said that, it is extremely hot. So it's a really, really good idea to keep a bottle of water with you at all times, I think, and have a sip to prevent dehydration, urinary tract infections that can cause headaches, constipation, dizziness, and can lead to falls, confusion, kidney stones, pressure ulcers, skin conditions, and just generally poor health. It is not good to get dehydrated. So we should be drinking at least 6 to 8 glasses of water a day at the very least, and when it's hot, we need to be drinking more than that. We're losing, water through sweating, and obviously if you're exercising as well, you need to be making sure you rehydrate. These bottles are great. I find they're really hard wearing. They've been thrown about all over the place, and they've got dents and things, but they keep the liquid really cool, and in the winter they keep them really hot. If you want a cup of tea and things. I'm just reading Lucy's comment. I'm guessing you're on about the lightning. I wasn't actually here when the lightning was on. I was in Frome doing my door knocking, but my husband and the girls were here, so they were like, oh my god. And I also had the car, so they had to walk home from school in the pouring down rain because I had the car, which wasn't very nice. But yeah, going back to hydration, so you will notice your mouth and lips become really dry if you're dehydrated. That's one of the main symptoms of it. But obviously tiredness and headaches and things like that. And if you find that you've got pain in your tummy or in your lower back, it could be that you've got a urinary tract infection, which again, we all want to prevent. They're not nice. So yes, it's important to make sure you carry a bottle of water with you on a hot day like today, particularly the elderly and the children. and also you know, including things in your diet like watermelon and cucumber, which can help, and lovely ice lollies and jelly as well. But always the best way to rehydrate is water. And I just wanted to say as well, because obviously we had the great announcement that the pubs are going to be open up again on the 4th of July, but where it's obviously going to be hoping that it'll be beer garden weather so we can sit outside. It's really important as well when you're drinking alcohol to make sure that you're also having water as well, because drinking alcohol in the sun, well, drinking alcohol full stop anyway makes you dehydrated, but drinking out in the sun as well, where the sun's making you dehydrated, it's really important to make sure that you have water alongside whatever alcoholic beverage you're drinking as well. So yeah, definitely make sure that you are drinking enough water and wearing a high factor sunscreen as well, particularly for our children, to make sure it's high, I think it's at least factor 50, and make sure that it's water resistant if they've got paddling pools and things, or you're going to the beach. Sun hats are really important as well, and trying to stay in the shade where possible, and obviously not taking long walks in the countryside during, you know, midday sun. And I also, our dog groomer would throttle me if I didn't mention this. We take our dog to Doggy Style in Yeovil, who are really brilliant with Obi. He needs a haircut every month. He is absolutely, and he's all black as well. He's a Sprudel, so he's a Springer Spaniel cross poodle, and yeah, they would throttle me if I didn't mention that you know, we should really be testing the temperature of a pavement, you know, being sensible and you know, waiting till the evening when it is much cooler to be walking our animals, and making sure they've got plenty of water in the day, all the time, but plenty of cool fresh water. And yeah, and my dog loves a bit of watermelon as well, as do the guinea pigs as a treat. But we've moved our guinea pigs from outside into the garage with the door open to make sure that they're in the shade, really, because as much as it's nice for them to be out in the nice weather, it's not nice for them to fry, basically. And you can do things like filling up just empty plastic milk bottles, filling them up with water, putting them in the freezer, and you can put that in the hutch for them to, you know, go and hang around if they're feeling quite hot. But yeah, making sure that their waters are all topped up and things like that, and they're eating plenty of things like cucumber and everything as well, so not to forget our animals in this weather. And that's all from me today. But in short, make sure you enjoy the sunshine, but stay safe, basically. And yeah, if you want to catch up on this later, that's absolutely fine, and share it with friends and family that you think might be, you know, that there is information. Yesterday Lucy did a really good talk about a really sensitive topic, which was bereavement, which I have shared to a couple of my clients and a couple of my friends who are suffering from, you know, passing of loved ones recently. So that's a really good one to have a look at, and it talks about the 7 stages of grief and things like that. So look on the Talking Cafe page for Lucy's Talking Cafe from yesterday. She did an absolutely smashing job. I wouldn't have been able to talk about it. I think I would have cried the whole time of it. So well done, Lucy, you did. And your voice is so calming. I think I could listen to you for hours. You should definitely narrate a talking book or something. I think you'd be really good at it. But yeah, and then we've got, obviously, the rest of the week is the Talking Cafes from South Somerset and Sedgemoor as well. So tune in for those and enjoy the sunshine. Stay safe. Take care, guys. That's all from me. Bye.